So I'm with you on all this, 100%. My question is, what's going on in the house? So there's a bunch of people in there. There's a bunch of people in there, and all of these people seem to have some sort of romantic connection, at least in their past or in their present. Karen Reed is obviously mad at John as she's talking in Brian Higgins' text. And it seems like she's trying to get revenge for him cheating, right? Like that's what it seemed like to me, is that Karen's mad that John was making out with the other chick in the
yeah, I think she was doing it because she wanted to have an ego boost. She's just like, see, I can, guys think made her feel good about herself having this poor sap, tell her she was hot.
Well, and also, I think she wanted it to get back to John because of there's an interesting part early on in their text messages where she tells Brian Higgins basically like, and you're going to talk about it. And he's like, no, I'm discreet. And she's like, I talked to John. Like he's told me all about how discreet you are and like how you talk about this all the time type thing. So, to me, it looks like she's trying to get some, revenge because she and John are non-exclusive, but I think she wanted to be obviously exclusive with him, and he wasn't progressing at the rate that she wanted. And that set her off. Like, that's what it seems to be there. But then there seems to be all this intertwined stuff. And there's rumors of like, sort of some, we'll say, indiscreet behavior between all of these people. Do you think there's any credibility to that?
I've heard those rumors, but I don't like to talk about or say things that can't document.
Right.
The swinger stuff. Like, I don't fucking know. Maybe, and honestly, if they were, good for them. It's none of my business. I don't care. I don't want to know. All I care about is who killed John O'Keefe.
Right. And I don't have any information about it, but it was such a pervasive theory that I was like, maybe there's something more that I don't know. So I was just curious because
I think it was just simple. It's just a bunch of testosterone and alcohol in a house together,
right,
and a bunch of big dudes, and an accident happened. That's all I think. And then instead of just calling 911 and saying this is an accident, like shit, like they were like, I don't want to go to jail. Like that was their immediate thing, was self-preservation. And it makes sense. Like all these people that say this conspiracy is ridiculous. It's like, bro, do you want to go to jail? Because Brian Albert doesn't want to go to jail. We know what happens to cops in jail. And he's like, first thing, he's like, well, this was a complete accident. Let's just put him out on the lawn and say he never came to the house. It's so simple, and it worked.
So I have to ask this very important question, because I have not heard that you have a mob or an army of people. I have heard that you have a sex cult full of people.
I do have a sex cult every Thursday night at 9:30. Things get freaky in sex cult. It's a members only thing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Things get hot and heavy in there. It was called Turtle Club for a while, but it's funny. Like there's this woman who's just obsessed with like dedicating her life to hurting me and destroying me. And she, you don't want to know that story. So she, she called she calls me. She's like, oh, he's running an online sex cult. So I just kind of embraced it. And I'm like, yeah, let's call it. This is a sex cult. So you guys have to do what I say here.
I was accused of having one too. It was interesting. I was like, well, I didn't know. Like, I'm missing all the meetings. This isn't fun.
Yeah. So,
but you've now that you found your sex cult, you're like, okay, well, I'm in.
Once you start running a sex cult, there's really no reason to give it up. It's a great thing. I dreamed of, when I was a boy, of growing up one day and running an online sex cult. And here I am living the dream. So why would I quit?
So I have my papal mitre back there that I wear for a certain segment of the show. And the story behind it is it was actually used in a blood magic sex cult by like the leader. Like, that's the thing. I'm like, oh God. Well, there's probably demons in it.
Well,
I hope they're hot.
I guess you can relate to me. So
Chad Parsons says, oh shit, I was starting to think you got arrested again. No. No, I've just been dealing with a bunch of different stuff. Plus, yesterday was a big day and something we're not going to talk about, but there was just a lot of drama leading up to it. So the reason I bring up the AI copyright thing is much has been said about the use of voices, images, and likeness, and the use of copyright in regards to AI generated content for super tips specifically. You're wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. We'll play it in a minute. I seem to have a pinched nerve or maybe a herniated disc or something in my back that has been giving me huge problems. I woke up a couple weeks ago and couldn't remember how to walk. My legs just weren't going where they were supposed to go. It's been very frustrating. And so I have to get a full spinal MRI to figure out what's wrong back there. But I've been getting a little bit better. But near the end of the Karen Reed trial, it got really, really difficult to sit for 8 hours straight. I was trying to hide it pretty well, but I was very, very uncomfortable for those long streams. So I do apologize. And that's part of the reason I haven't been streaming as much. But things have been getting better with, I've been doing a lot of stretching, using my massage chair a lot as well. And just really focusing on, using muscles that my brain doesn't know how to use right now. So it's very weird. I hope that never happens to you because it's wildly frustrating and I'm kind of tired of it, damn it. But I'll keep you guys posted on that. I've been to the doctor, and been checked out and stuff. And he thinks it might be a physical thing. My tests are all good. So all that stuff, but it has been, that's been part of why I haven't been on.
Your hair is floofy. Another win for the toe.
My hair is floofy. I didn't put any hairspray or anything in it today. Also, so I went to the same person I've gotten the last several haircuts from, who I was like, oh, they do a good job. And they cut my hair in such a way that now I have to part it on the opposite side. I don't know how that even works using name, image, and likeness for anything else. Comedy, parody, sarcasm, criticism, even just statements, as long as those statements aren't fraudulently inducing people to believe that someone is, endorsing something. But it's all in how much the listener, I guess, the audience is supposed to or intended to believe that it's the person. And then, of course, how much they believe it is kind of evidence of how much they were intended to, right? But for example, on super tips, if anyone's under the impression that a super tip is generated and it's the person, the way they come across the screen. So, and I know there's a very funny moment where when I was screaming at Keanu and I wasn't looking, that a super tip came through in Keanu's voice and I thought it was her. Yes. But of course, everybody else knew it wasn't, right? The audience there is not oh, that Keanu said that, because there's a little animated thing, there's a message on the screen, all of this stuff happens. So no one's actually thinking. And if I had looked at it later, I would have known that wasn't her as well. No one's duped there. I'm duped in the moment, but that was my own uncontrollable rage or whatever that did that. So, but in general, the super tip system isn't being used as a legitimate endorsement from someone's voice. No one's if I have the Jesse Lee Peterson voice say, "Hey, listen, I need you to watch the Nick Rekieta show, Rekieta Law, because he's good people." If I had it say that, no one believes that Jesse Lee Peterson is calling into the show and doing that. That's not how it works. There's just so many indicators that that's not the case. Also, we talk about it. Leo says, I am excited to catch a stream. Do you have a stream schedule for the rest of the summer? No, I'm trying to work that out. I have a couple complicating factors. I have to start doing my community service like a common criminal instead of an uncommon one. I have to start doing my community service and getting on the ball there. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what and lock down a consistent schedule and consistent times, but I have other things that keep interrupting it.
I can't believe you brought up that cut question, man. That's wild. Well, anyway.
Well, you mean the question of was there some sort of he called it swinger activity. I don't want to limit it to that, but that there was something going on between the adults in that instance that went beyond, like the traditional understanding of relationships, maybe planned infidelity. I have no idea. It seemed like a bunch of people were like, that's what it seems like from the stuff that I've seen, and a lot of people seem to have that theory. So I didn't know if he was like more in tune with it. Plus, he has the sex cult joke, so I figured he'd be okay with the question. I hope it didn't offend too many people. Tech Guy says, thank you for the clarification. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's a complicated subject. And the only frustrating thing for me is seeing a bunch of fellow lawyers talk about it incorrectly because they have some personal reason for their answer. And look, you can say that I have personal reasoning because of my use of super tips or whatever. But I had the same position on, it wasn't AI, but I had the same position on name, image, and likeness and the right of publicity ever since the beginning of this channel, because I encountered it right away with the Dick Masterson lawsuit and Maddox saying, like, you can't use a picture of me. And the picture was Maddox being made fun of on a poster advertising one of Dick's live shows. And Maddox like, you can't do that. You can't. I didn't give you permission for that. It's like, well, you don't need permission to make fun of someone like that, because that doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, hey, can I make fun of you? Can I just shit all over you on this poster? Is that okay? No? Oh, well, damn. And so I encountered this problem and did a bunch of research on it early on in the YouTube show because of the Dick and Maddox lawsuit. So I've read a lot about it. And the law is pretty consistent and pretty clear and has been through decades and decades and decades of celebrity voices being used. And if the celebrity voice is being used for an endorsement, the company loses. If the celebrity voice is not being used for an endorsement, the company wins, or who the user wins and the celebrity loses at that point. Visit Hedonism 2. It says, Turtle, have you ever traded wives with a YouTuber? Well, he's not here anymore, so that answer will go unanswered, or that question will go unanswered. The Delaguna Show with Lauren Hayden says, heart you both, free FRK. Wait, I think it's supposed to be FKR. What's up, Lauren? Good to see you. Nice to chat. Hopefully we can talk soon about what's going on. Galaxy Gas Shop USA says, reminder, you can't get a DUI on new Fruit Punch Galaxy Gas family pack. I think that's actually bad legal advice. I think if you were caught, intoxicated on any sort of intoxicants, most states have a generalized prohibition on being impaired while driving.